Assalamualaikum everyone, welcome back to this channel. This is me Ania Wahid and you are on the channel of Medicare. So as you know that we have started our third year pharmacy lectures and we are discussing every subject out of it, and now we are going to start another very important and very easy subject, and this is about the Pharmacognosy 2 advanced, and we see the theory of it. So the first is the separation or isolation of plant constituent. In this chapter, you will study about the spectroscopic techniques, chromatographic techniques, and we discuss the types of it. But these things you are also discussing in the subject called pharmaceutical chemistry. So now we are not going to start this chapter. I'm going to start from the chapter number 2. Later on we will discuss the chapter number 1. So in the chapter number 2, this is about the carbohydrates and its related compounds. So the first is the introduction and the classification of carbohydrate. So now in this lecture we are going to start what is the introduction and how we classify the carbohydrate. We will see the detailed classification, like the carbohydrates is classified into monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, disaccharide, or polysaccharide, oligosaccharide, these type things. And we will study every classification and their sub classifications. We will study all the things. So this is our today's chapter. And next topic will be sugar as the adjoint in the drugs and their role of impurities in the sugar substances. So it will be discussed in the next lecture. So for today's lecture, we are going to start with the carbohydrates and we will deal with the introduction of it. Okay, to start our lecture, first we see what is the pharmacognosy. As you have studied in your second prof that the word pharma always mean a drug. So it's mean drug, and cognosy means to study or to acquire the knowledge of it. So we are going to study about the crude drugs. Okay, we are studying about the drugs. And what is crude drug? You have also studied its definition in the second prof or the second year, is that they are the materials or the drugs which are obtained from the natural source. So they are coming from what? Natural source. They cannot be prepared artificially. Or what are the natural source of it? We have plants here, we have natural source of animals, we have minerals here from which we can get these things. We have marine organisms, marine plants, and marine animals. From these sources we get the crude drugs. So and then we study about it, these kind of crude drugs, in the branch called pharmacognosy. So this was the short introduction of what the subject and what we are studying up in this subject. So in the pharmacognosy, the our today's topic is carbohydrate and its introduction to it. Okay, so we are going to study about the carbohydrates. The word carbo means carbon. Okay, and hydrates mean it's hydrate. So if we see its meaning, so it's mean the hydrates of carbon, hydrates of carbon. Okay, so what is the definition of it? So we are going to study it. Actually these are the organic compounds. Okay, what are them? They are the organic one. What are organic compounds? Do you know? Yes, so these are the compounds which contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in them. So the definition of carbohydrates will be: carbohydrates are the most abundant organic compounds which contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in them. Okay? This is the first definition of carbohydrates. Other definition of carbohydrates can be that the carbohydrates are the aldehyde. They are what? They can be aldehyde or the ketone alcohols containing the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, in which the hydrogen and carbon are in the same ratio as in water. Okay, so what is the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen in the water? So in the water, which is H2O, hydrogen is 2 and oxygen is 1, so it is 2:1. And also in the carbohydrates, the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1 always. Like if we see the formula of carbohydrates, it is CnH2nOn. Okay, so this is 2n, this is only n, this is 2:1. Their ratio is the same one. If we see a carbohydrate like C6H2, n is 6 and I have took the 6 one, and can be any number. So 2 cross 6 हो जाएगा, dot oxygen is n6, 6 to the 12, so this is C6H12O6. This is our glucose, so simple sugar. Okay, so it's mean its ratio is 2:1. If we see the ratio of 12 or 6, 12:6, we divide by 6 on both side. This is the 1, this is 6 1, the 6 is 2 the 12. This the ratio come will 2:1. So therefore I have called that in the carbohydrates they are the aldehyde, they are the polyhydroxy aldehyde or ketones which containing carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and the carbon and oxygen are in the same ratio as in the water. And what is the concept of this meaning that same ratio as in the water? I have explained it whole here. I think now this is confirmed to you that what it is mean. Okay, after that we have discussed the formula of carbohydrate, which is this CnH2n or ON. Okay, now we will see what is the major function or what is the major role of carbohydrate. So we are studying its role or its function. So what is its function? It used to deal with the energy present in our body. It used to store it or transport it. So our body need the energy to transport it in overall of our body, like store. If we see how the carbohydrates are the source to store our energy, so store our energy. It, energy could be stored in the plants or could be stored in our animals. In plants, it can be stored in the form of our starch, okay, cellulose, etc. And in the plants, it can be stored in the form of glycogen. So you know, and also it used to transport the energy, whether in the plant, whether in the animals. It is used to transport it overall in the body, so that our body can get the energy from it. And it is a very important source of structural components. So it is making our body structures. So it is making our structures. Like if you see in the plant, the structure of plant, so the cellulose is the major component. You know, a lot of the structures of the plants are made up of cellulose. Very important for the plant point of view. Cellulose is making a lot of structures of the plant. And it is the major component of the tree barks, and it is making their structure here. Similarly, if we see the fungi, so in the fungi, the cell wall is made up of chitin, and chitin is a carbohydrate. Cellulose is a carbohydrate, chitin is a carbohydrate. Similarly, in the animal case, our cartilage, our cartilage cartilage is the soft bone present in our, like our nose is made up of cartilage, our ears are made up of cartilage. So what is a cartilage? Cartilage is a carbohydrate, so they are making our structures. If cartilage is not present, then our nose and our ears cannot be formed. Okay, so cartilage is a carbohydrate which is making our nose, our ears and our whole body, where our cartilage is present. So cartilage is present in our whole body and making the structure of it, making our body stable. Similarly, it's make the cellulose, which is a form of carbohydrate, is making the structure of plant. And chitin, which is also a form of a carbohydrate, is making the cell wall of fungi. So if the cell wall is not present in the fungi, then fungi can die. So it is making its structure. That's why the carbohydrates are very important for our body. So we see what is the structure of carbohydrate, how the structure of it. We have studied its role. Now we study what is the structure of it. Okay, so now we are going to study what is the structure of carbohydrates. So our structure of carbohydrate consists of carbon atoms because it contains the carbon. So it contains the carbon atoms in it. And carbon atoms can arrange in the form of the chain और कैन बी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ द रिंग. ओके, आपके कार्बन आइटम स्ट्रेट चेन की फॉर्म में ऐसे सीधे भी हो सकते हैं और एक रिंग भी बना सकते हैं. लाइक अगर मैं रिंग यहाँ पे बनाऊँ तो ये इस तरह की रिंग भी बना सकते हैं. ठीक है, इस तरह की रिंग बना सी. अगर आप ग्लूकोज की रिंग देखें तो वो इस तरह की होती है. ठीक है, ये और ये रिंग दोनों सेम ही है, जस्ट इसको रोटेट किया. ठीक है, सो इस तरह रिंग की फॉर्म में भी हो सकते हैं, चेन की फॉर्म में भी हो सकते हैं विद द हाइड्रोक्सी ग्रुप. और इसके साथ क्या होगा, एक तो चेन होगी, एक रिंग होगी. किसकी, कार्बन आइटम्स की. कार्बन आइटम की अगर मैं चेन बनाऊँ 1 2 3 3 कार्बन आइटम्स की चेन बनाई है. अगर मैं इसी की रिंग बनाऊँ तो मैं इस तरह से इसकी रिंग बना सकती हूँ 3 ही कार्बन्स की. तो ये चेन की फॉर्म में कार्बन आइटम्स हैं, दिस इज़ इन द फॉर्म ऑफ रिंग. अब मैं इनके साथ क्या करती हूँ, मैं दो ग्रुप्स अटैच करूँगी. एक है हाइड्रोक्सी ग्रुप, इसे हम कहते हैं हाइड्रोक्सी ग्रुप. और एक ग्रुप को कहते हैं हम लोग कार्बोनाइल ग्रुप. कार्बोनाइल ग्रुप. नाउ व्हाट इज़ कार्बोनाइल ग्रुप. ये कोई कीटोनिक ग्रुप भी हो सकता है, एल्डिहाइडिक ग्रुप भी हो सकता है. एल्डिहाइड ग्रुप होगा तो वो इस तरह की फॉर्म में होगा, कीटोनिक ग्रुप इस तरह की फॉर्म में होगा. ठीक है, ये दो, ये और ये ग्रुप, इन दो में से कोई एक ग्रुप और ये ग्रुप लाजमी हमने अटैच करना है. मैं आपको ये अटैचमेंट करके दिखाती हूँ. सो हमारे कार्बन के साथ दो ग्रुप्स अटैच होंगे, या OH ग्रुप अटैच होगा. यहाँ पर मैं क्या करती हूँ, एल्डिहाइडिक ग्रुप अटैच कर देती हूँ पहले कार्बन के साथ. दूसरे कार्बन के साथ हाइड्रोक्सी ग्रुप और बाकी हाइड्रोजन से वैलेंसी पूरी कर देती हूँ. अब कार्बन की वैलेंसी कितनी होती है, 4 होती है. यानी कार्बन अपने साथ 1 2 3 4 जो है ना बॉन्ड्स बना सकते हैं. इस तरह से अपने चारों तरफ बॉन्ड बना सकता है, लाइक अ चौक. सो चौक में भी क्या होता है, चार तरफ सड़कें जा रही होती है, तो कार्बन भी अपने गिर्द 4 बॉन्ड बना सकता है. So first, from the first carbon, I have attached the aldehyde group. So this is aldehyde group. Aldehyde group is like HCHO. One is carbon, one is hydrogen, another is oxygen. Oxygen attached with the carbon with a double bond. With the second carbon, I have attached the hydroxy group. Oh, okay, one thing remember, in the chain of the carbon, only one carbon and the first carbon always contain the aldehyde group, while the other groups contain the hydroxy group. Okay, this is the hydroxy group. Now this carbon, if I remove the H from here, okay, this carbon have one bond with this carbon, one bond with hydroxy group, other bond with this carbon. Okay, fourth bond it will make with the hydrogen. Okay, similarly this carbon, okay, I am removing these bonds. I have told you the hydroxy group will came with every carbon. So this hydroxy group it is attached. Now this carbon has two bonds only, while third and fourth group will be made by hydrogen. Can I write this bond as, simply I am writing this as CH2OH. Can I write it as it? Yes. So this is the structure of glyceraldehyde. So we have make the glyceraldehyde, we have make a carbohydrate. So this is the simplest structure of the carbohydrate. We can increase the number of carbon atom, we can increase the number of bonds here, but the pattern will be this. Now I can make a add a ketonic group. This is the aldehyde group, this is the aldose. Now I am making a ketonic group, so I am removing all of it. Okay, so now I am making ketonic group. So 3 carbon atoms I am making out. Okay, now ketonic group attached with the second carbon, not the first carbon. Aldehyde group attached with the first, ketonic group attached with the second carbon. Now I can complete the valency as attaching the hydroxy group or our hydrogen group. So I have explained it here. Now this carbon has 1 2 3. Okay, so we have completed the structure of it. Okay, so after studying all about the carbohydrate, the structure of it, after that I am going to classify the carbohydrates. So I have just draw the the flow chart of carbohydrates so that you can understand what is the classification of carbohydrate. So I have classified the carbohydrates on the basis of number of sugar atoms. Monosaccharide contain one sugar atom. Mono mean one and saccharide mean sugar. So it contains only one sugar atom, only one carbon atom, and it has the division of these kind of sugars. So it contains trioses, tetraoses, pentaoses, hexaoses, heptaoses, octa, and nonaoses. Okay, so these are the classification of monosaccharides. Oligosaccharides, which contains 2 to 9 sugar atoms within it, like it's other type which is called disaccharides. Disaccharides are these are the sugars which contain two sugar units, like dia mean 2 and saccharides mean sugar, like the sucrose. It contains the two sugar atoms, glucose and fructose in it. Lactose, maltose, these contain the two sugar units in it. The third classification of carbohydrate is the polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is again subdivided into the two types, homopolysaccharide and the hetero polysaccharide. Homo means all the polysaccharide having the same kind of sugar unit in it, while the hetero polysaccharide contain the different units. Homopolysaccharide example is starch and the cellulose. They contain the homopolysaccharide. They contain only starch is made up of cross linkage of glucose in it. Similarly, cellulose is also made up of glucose in them. But the heteropolysaccharide examples are like arban, tragacanth, agaralginate, and pectin. They are not only made up of glucose. They have the structure of the fructose in it, the galactose in it, every kind of sugars can include in it, not only a single type of sugars in it. It can have the different one. So these are the ways that we can classify our the sugars with them. Okay, so one thing I want to clear your concept is that we say that our monosaccharide contain only one sugar. Then why we classify monosaccharide into trioses, trioses mean three carbon, tetraoses mean four carbon, and monosaccharide mean one sugar unit. Yes, monosaccharide mean one sugar unit, not one carbon. Not one. I have write one sugar, not the carbon. Which means carbon number can be changed. Carbon number can be three. Three carbon atoms can we have? We can have four. We can have five. We can have six, seven. We can have eight. We can have nine carbon atoms still. Okay, so it started from 3 to 9, not less than 3, not more than 9. So this range is of monosaccharide. So a lot of students confused, they think that monosaccharide mean one carbon atom. It's not like that. It's mean it has one sugar unit. It has one sugar in it. Trioses is a one sugar unit. It is made up of three carbon, but it has a one sugar unit. Four carbon atoms, it mean it has a one sugar. Four carbons mean it has a one sugar. Pentahouses is a one sugar unit. No matter what the carbon it has, it's a one sugar unit. While the disaccharide have two sugar unit, in which sucrose has a glucose which made up of six carbon atoms, and a fructose which also made up of six carbon atoms. So it has the two units in it. One is the one glucose is a one sugar unit, and fructose is a one sugar unit. In hexahouses these types came hexa or fructoses. Okay, so if we see the glucose separate, it is a one sugar unit, hexaoses containing the six carbon atom, and fructose is another one sugar unit having the six carbon atom. But the sucrose is made up of two sugar unit, glucose and fructose. Similarly, lactose is also made of two sugar unit, maltose is also made of two sugar units. And if we see the polysaccharides, they are made up of many sugar units. If they are made up of, yeah, like starch, if we see in the starch structure, a lot of glucose molecules attach with themselves. Okay, a lot of, like I am making the chain of glucose unit in it. So this is the two glucose units. Now I am increasing its strength. Okay, so I am making more bonds of it. So this attachment can be wrong, it can be attached from here. Okay, so I'm not making the perfect bond of it, but just I am making it. So this is I am making the whole complex structure of sucrose containing the simple glucose units attaching with themselves and making a complex bundle of it. So this, you can see here that a lot of glucose units are making a whole complex structure. So this is a complex structure. It can increase its length, width, and everything, but it only made up of glucose. Only glucose molecules attached. No fructose, no lactose, maltose, or any kind of penta or tetraoses. Nothing entered into it. Only glucose. Similarly, cellulose is made up of this structure, but the bonding is different. Okay, so there is a difference of bonding. We will discuss this bonding when we study the classification of polysaccharides. Similarly, when we see the heteropolysaccharide, we have the different. Like if I change this linkage and add another glucose or sugar unit, like I'm adding here the fructose here. So I have changed one sugar unit. Now it became the hetero one because I have changed the composition, I have changed the sugar unit in it. It has two different sugar units. All others are the glucose, but I have changed the one sugar unit and add sucrose here. So this is the concept that I want to tell you, that everyone should clear about it, that everyone confused about it, that what is monosaccharide and the relation of carbon number with it. So I hope now you have cleared about it. Now anyone tell you that monosaccharide and its classification include the trioses, tetroses, now you will never confuse between the one sugar unit or one carbon unit. Okay. So I hope that this makes your concept clearly. And if you have some confusions, then you can ask me the question into the comment box. I will answer you. So we will discuss the classification of carbohydrates separately in the lecture. Like in the next lecture, we will start the monosaccharide, a whole detail of monosaccharide, because it's very lengthy. So we will cover it into the next lecture. So I hope that you understand it, and please, if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and also press the bell icon so that I can get the notification of all the videos which I have uploaded. Thank you so much. Meet you soon in the next lecture. Take care. Allah Hafiz.